Our souls are in a strange collaboration with our spirits and gods to get us to where we need to go. Um, I do believe everything does happen for a reason, and everything is in alignment with everything else. In different spiritual paths or different religions, you'll find one side blaming. They all have their antithesis, thesis and antithesis. Christians, it's Satan that does all the bad stuff that happens in life. Everything that bad that happens in the world is because of Satan. Um, for Satanists, it's the oppressive Yahweh, um, the uh, the Abrahamic God. Um, for Buddhists, it's Mara, basically like a devilish form of Maya, or but mainly it's the ego and one's own delusion. Um, in Taoism, it's trying to force things rather than not allowing things to happen. In dark Taoism, it's one's own internal weakness. There's always an antithesis in everybody's story, but the conflict is inherently within ourselves. Finding an external thing to blame does not lead to self-transformation. It leads to a blame game. And whether certain entities or groups are more responsible for the suffering in the world than others, it's rather irrelevant to our own spiritual transformation. Um, like when you're paranoid, the vast majority of the time, paranoia. The reason for paranoia is very small, and things actually watching you or coming to get you. That's all composed within our own internal conflict, not an external conflict that exists, but our own internal workings and machinations. Like Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, human beings are so ingenious in how we delude ourselves. Um, as we progress as an individual, it's always good to be on a really good footing so that any kind of internal conflict you can solve it. Be healthy physically. Be healthy in your self-talk. Be healthy in your spiritual path, your relationship to the gods and spirits. Be healthy in your relationship to other people. If we look for conflict, we're going to find a lot of it. If we look for happiness and peace, we're really looking for it, and don't have our eye on the wall. As NASCAR drivers say, if you stare at the wall, if you look at it, if you focus on it, you're going to hit it. A lot of the time, in trying to avoid that wall, we end up hitting it. We want to be on the best possible footing so that the wall, we see it as irrelevant. And it's not really our problem. Moving forward in this circle of life is our chief concern. And, there are certain things that can put us on a good footing to aid our internal struggle and towards the positive. Being physically healthy is one of them. It's also really important to realize that we gather a lot of negative energy just from the world, just by accident, just rubs off on us. But there's a lot of positive energy too. But it can kind of like fuel that little internal conflict. But once again, the world is not necessarily inherently negative or positive, but we pick up a lot of energy from other people because there's a whole lot of people isolated in their own mental cells, generating a whole lot of different kinds of energy. I do a lot of my videos at about 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. where I live because the air feels clear. But once again, it's the picking up any negativity it's our reaction to that energy. It's not necessarily energy in and of itself. We see the world as we are, not as the world is. So there's layers of Maya here. The delusion is what really kicks our butts, is because it's our relationship to the Maya. There's a reason why we can still be lonely, though. There's a reason why we operate as independent beings, because we still have an ego and we're using that in this world. And all we can do is use it to the best of our ability, rather than isolation, seemingly isolation, hampering us or stopping our efforts forward. We can recognize that, yes, it's the separation, that's the illusion. And our efforts, what we truly want, once we figure that out, everything's actually conspiring to get us there. Our gods and our spirits are working with our soul, that unconscious thing that the mind can't quite always touch, to get us to where we need to be. However long that might take, and however bumpy the ride, we're going to get there. Our relationship to our own internal conflict is, first we need to understand it before addressing it, and then kind of evolving out of the conflict. Stop seeing the same old story of antagonist and protagonist, or thesis is antithesis. Everything is a synthesis within us and with the world and the multiverse. Everything is becoming, and we are becoming everything. It's God becoming everything rather than creating something that's separate. The separation is the illusion, and it's tied to the illusion of time and space. Time and space are illusions. It doesn't feel like it, though. So that's why we have to use our thinking power, our mind, to the best of our ability to not react, but to be somebody, to be something, to walk the path instead of focusing on the destination or all the ways you can fall. Because there's a lot of ways you can fall. But this is the journey, and it's okay. It will get better. Organizing your life, you're going to take some hits. There's going to be a lot of perceived conflict that feels very real, like real conflict externally. But the internal conflict is what is ours to resolve. So just understand your relationship to yourself and put yourself in the best footing possible to win those internal battles. But we get to fight for as long as we need to. So keep fighting. You can do this, and you will.